2nd, 2020, again at 6 o'clock. This is for the 2021 budget. If there's any callers out there or someone online, please identify yourself for the record. Susan Sweeney.
Susan Harris. Susan Harris.
Thanks, Susan. Tim, we got you. Mike, we got you. Anybody else out there?
There's Susan Sweeney is in.
She's in.
Is there another private caller, or is that did they leave? I think they left.
Yeah. Oh,
Yep.
I think we got everybody.
Yep.
Okay, so I am, again, Mayor Meg Grenier. I'm going to do a roll call of our village staff. Say present when I say your name, please. Deputy Mayor Eileen Nickel.
Present.
Trustee Diane Foley.
Present.
Trustee Seth Harris.
Present.
Trustee Brian Marsh.
Present.
Clerk Don Handerhan.
Present.
Treasurer Bill Smith.
Present.
Okay. Notice is hereby given that pursuant to village law, the preliminary budget of the Village of Menands for the fiscal year beginning June 1, 2020 and ending May 31st, 2021 has been duly filed. Pursuant to Governor Cuomo's Executive Order number 202.1, issued on March 13th, 2020, suspending Article 7 of the Public Officers Law, to the extent necessary to permit any public body to meet and take such actions authorized by law without allowing the public to be physically present at the meeting, but allow the public to listen to or view such meetings via teleconference, call, or video conference while we will be recording and later transcribing such meeting. This public hearing of the preliminary budget for the fiscal year of 2021 is being held via Google Meets video conference to protect the public's health, safety, and welfare during the COVID-19 pandemic in order for the Village of Menands to meet the required deadlines of April 15th for such hearing. In an effort to conduct this hearing effectively, we ask the following of those in attendance. Please mute your microphones until recognized to speak. If you have a question or comment, please identify yourself in the chat log, or we will reach out to you via the phone on the right-hand side of the screen. Once recognized, you can unmute your microphone after asking your questions so everyone can hear the response. All right, I will now open up the floor to Treasurer Bill Smith for the budget presentation.
Thank you, Meg. Okay, this year, a lot of hard work went into the budget process so the village can maintain current services for our residents. General fund budget expenditures for the 2021 fiscal year budget have increased by $156,000 over last year, just over 3%. This increase includes pay hikes of 2% for all personnel, 2% for non-union personnel. Union contracts required raises of 2% and 2.25%. The bail reform law required an increase in court expenses of $8,100 and required the hiring of an additional police officer at $56,000 plus. Minimum wage was increased on 1/1, therefore youth summer employees or employee costs are up. Higher costs have been added for recycling disposal. Estimated increase in the police retirement of approximately 90% over 9% over last year, excuse me. While expenditures rose, revenues were down slightly 1%. And the combination requires an increase in the tax levy of just over 4%. The village's total taxable assessments increased by approximately $3.2 million, which helped keep the increase in the tax rate to 2.96%, or from $8.11 last year to $8.35 per thousand this year, an increase of 24 cents, or $48 for a home assessed at $200,000. Chart number 1. All right, this here chart shows the distribution of the general fund expenditures at a $8.35 tax rate. So what it shows is public safety is 31.5% of your tax rate. Undistributed is 21.6%, which includes retirement costs, social security costs for the village, workers' comp, medical and dental costs. General government support is 20.5%, which is salaries for the office, the trustee, the mayor, court costs, building operations, outside engineering, unallocated insurance, and contingent account expenses. Transportation, which is the DPW, is 15.6%. That includes DPW costs, costs for paving, the garage, OSHA required costs, snow removal, and street lighting expenses. Home and community service is 5.3%, which is refuse collection, storm sewer work, MS4, beautification, and the ZBA expenses. Debt service is 3.4%, which are bonds and interest payable. And economic development, culture, and recreation are 2.1%. This includes economic development costs, parks, youth service, senior service, historian, and costs for our picnic and celebrations. So that's expenses. Revenue is the next chart. Okay, real property taxes is 57.3% of our revenue. And non-property taxes are 34.5% of our revenue. That includes sales tax and franchise fees. So those two items produce almost 92% of our revenue. Fines and forfeiture, which is the court, produces another 3.8%. And state aid is another 3.5%, which gives us 99.1. And then there's miscellaneous, the funds that we collect here in the village office for tax searches, et cetera, and little things too small to put on a chart. Next chart shows the taxable assessments for the village for the last 7 years, 2, 4, 6, 7. The dotted line is the average over the 7 years, which is $301,559,500. And as you can see from the bar chart, it went down for 5 years, and now it's started back up. It's actually going down for 10 years. But last year, it turned around a little bit, and it went a little higher this year. So if we keep that trend, it keeps the village tax rate down because we have more to spread it over. And then the last chart is is your tax rate chart. The bars show you the actual rate in each year. It goes, first year is the 14-15 fiscal year. It was 705. And then this year it's 835 proposed, which is a difference of $1.30 over 7 years, or $37 for a $200,000 house over 7 years. The red line is the year-to-year rate change. This shows that it went from up and down each year, depending on what the rate was. That's it for the general fund. The water and sewer funds did not change that much. Water fund expenses were up 0.3%, and the revenues were up 0.3%. And the sewer fund, the expenditures were up 0.9%, and the revenue was up 0.9%. So nothing really changed in those two funds, and there were no rate changes proposed or anything else, so your water and sewer fund, or water and sewer bills will stay the same. Finally, since the pandemic, we have requested all departments to purchase only essentials. The village will adjust this 2021 budget as needed throughout the year, coming fiscal year. And that's all I have to say. Any questions?
Did anybody have any questions? All right, Mike has a question. Go ahead, Mike. Oh, you got on, Mike, you got on mute,
Yeah, Mike, go ahead and unmute your microphone and you can ask your question. Mike, if you click on the screen, you'll get a little bar at the bottom, and there'll be a microphone icon. You can just click on that, which will unmute your microphone.
he muted you, Seth, somehow.
There we go. Yeah, don't click on me. Click on your own one.
Mike, you want to put it in the chat box instead if you can't get open?
You see that?
Yes, I can. The impact, we don't know yet. I expect this quarter to go down and the rest of this fiscal year to go down, but hopefully when the new fiscal year starts, we'll be able to go out and shop, and the stores will be open, the restaurants will be open, and we'll get a good amount of sales tax back. I would expect this quarter is going to be a little short. No, there's no funds for that. We'll take a look at it during the year, and if things work out, maybe we can fix it during the year. No capital improvement funds. We just bought the two new plow trucks and a new garbage truck and a couple $100 worth of fire equipment. So we're just waiting on the delivery of the trucks, and then we'll pay that bill. We've got that bond money already set aside.
All right, thanks, Mike, for your questions. Anyone else have any questions?
I do, Meg.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm on page 5, looking at the section on the contingent account. There is the 2020 budget was 47,000, and the preliminary budget for 2021 is 162,000. Can you talk about that a little, Bill?
Sure. When you look at the budget line, the amount for the contingent account for 1920 shows only 47,000, but it was 100,000. As we use that money on transfers, it goes down. The new increase, when the state was here doing an audit, they advised me not to put, if you go to the back of the budget, back by the bond, you'll see some reserve accounts. and they're not actually reserve accounts. They were our savings accounts. So the state said, no, you can't use that money. Put it in your contingent account and then just transfer it to your reserve. Because that's all I did was I take that money and put it in the savings account.
So that was the money that went from, I think, reserves, to
Yeah, it was about
page 14 or something.
right, and those three reserve accounts, that money, whatever it was, 20-some thousand for one, and I can't. Wait a minute. I might have it right here.
No, you don't need to do that. I
Okay.
just understand where it
Yeah.
came from.
And so I moved it over to the contingent account, and then after the first
You allocate.
year,
Yeah.
we'll allocate it to the savings account.
And then I had a question on page 9 on street maintenance. There's some significant cuts in blacktop and paving and blacktop, outside contractors. The paving and blacktop is about going down about a third.
Right.
And then you know, I don't understand why we would make that choice.
Well, we've paved approximately 97% of the streets over the last 7 years. So we're down to that, and then we're going to take a year or two off before we start over again. We've gone through the village, every street except the mayor. You'd have to answer that, how many streets we got left. But so we have some paving to do this fiscal year. We're just waiting for bids to come in. And then next year, I took the money from that and put it towards the bonds. So we didn't have to raise the bond that much. We took that 50,000 and moved it over to bonds, or a good portion of it to the bonds.
When there are infrastructure failures and streets need to be repaved, repaired, that doesn't come out of this account then? That comes out of another?
No, if we had a repair, like if we have a water break,
Yeah.
we gotta repair the street, we gotta buy blacktop and stuff, that'll come out of this 100,000.
Oh, okay, out of the
blacktop,
okay.
paving and blacktop. That includes any patching and stuff we do.
All right. On pages 12 and 13, there are questions. I have questions about the refuse and garbage collection.
Uh-huh.
Given the information that we've heard at the various meetings about the increasing costs, it seems like a 3% increase and a 10% increase it seems very conservative, or very hopeful, I should say. How do you account for the various continuing increases that are happening at the landfills?
Okay, we have not had an increase from Colony because we're part of Colony, so they haven't increased our rates lately. And then the only increase in there is for the recycling, which during this year went up. It's now $80 a ton, I think, for us to dump it. It used to be free. So
No, and you're correct.
Yeah, I put 12,000 in there for that, along with, bear with me, I will tell you in a second. Recycling, I put $12,000 in there, and there's $50,000 in there for the garbage. So that's how I got the 62,000. So, that should, hopefully, that'll keep us good.
Is there any interest on the part of the board in passing along some of those costs to village residents, or in somehow containing the amount of trash that is disposed of? Is that a topic that is ever discussed?
Well, they get passed on through their taxes.
I'm sorry?
It gets passed on through their taxes.
Well, yes, of course, but that's spread evenly over the taxpayers. It doesn't address people who are heavy utilizers, if you will, of the service through the village. It's just somewhat unusual in the communities that surround Menands that there are no seeming regulations that are enforced about the amount of waste that is generated and how people's expectations that the village is just going to take care of it all. And I'm only raising the question not because there's a problem in the budget. I just think it's unrealistic what is budgeted, but that at some point that topic it would seem to me, be of interest on the board as a discussion point. So I'll let that go for now. I don't need to take any more of your time. The only other question I had, Bill, was on the medical and hospitalization costs are going down. I don't know anybody whose costs are going down.
Well, all our employees that pay an additional 1% over what they did, most of them now are paying 20% of our costs.
So there's cost sharing there.
We're cost sharing, yep. Most of them pay 20%. I think some are paying 19 because of the contract, but that'll change next year or the year after. I can't remember. So we are cost sharing with them. So I get money out of their paychecks to offset the costs.
That makes sense. And if I could just ask you one personal question, where do you see the biggest weakness in this budget? There's always one.
There's always one. Well, the pandemic didn't help me, I'll tell you. Other than that, I thought it was a pretty good budget. You know, as long as nothing breaks, I think we're all right. But the pandemic is going to cause possibly some issues with sales tax in the first quarter. I'm hoping this thing is over by then. But, you know, we'll deal with it as we go along. That's the only thing I can say. That's, you know, the big thing. As long as nothing breaks.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Mike, can answer your question? $675,000.
All right. Anybody else have any other questions?
You see that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hang on. Well, that should leave us hopefully $400,000.
All right. Anybody else have any other questions? All right, Bill, I want to thank you for all of your efforts. I know this process started months ago. Initially, it started with the first draft was, I think, 12 or 13%. Through a lot of work. This got down to where it is today, and we thank you for your efforts. And as usual, great job.
Thank you,
Thank
Bill.
you.
Yeah, thank you, Bill.
Questions? Go ahead.
Especially given the different circumstances, I thought you did a great job not only putting it together, but presenting it this way.
Thank you.
As always, thanks, Bill.
All right, it is 6:25. We will close this public hearing and look forward to trying again on Monday.
Thanks very much.
Thanks,
Thanks,
everybody.
everyone.
Everyone.
Thanks, guys. Have a great one.
You too.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a good night.
You too.
You too. Thank you.
What do I do? Just close it?